A wealthy man, having just saved his daughter, invites a beggar to accompany him for an hour at his ex-wife's wedding. Yet, upon the beggar's arrival, a wave of astonishment sweeps through the crowd. A tale of romance, familial bonds, and bravery awaits your exploration. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the next thrilling tales. His 7-year-old daughter, the sole beacon in his intricate existence, tenderly caressed his hair and murmured, "Joyce, darling, it's time to rise. Today promises to be quite eventful. Let's hurry, we can't afford to be late for school." Joyce rubbed her sleepy eyes, hesitant to abandon the cozy embrace of her bed, and murmured, "Dad, just 5 more minutes, please. I really don't want cereal for breakfast, all right? I truly have no desire to visit your office after school. It lacks excitement." In an attempt to blend authority with warmth, Jonathan responded, "No cereal today. I prepared some toast topped with your favorite jam. As for the office, Haley, my assistant, will be there to collect you once school is over. It's clear that you're still a bit too young to be left home alone, don't you think? Additionally, your babysitter is still unwell and unable to come. Come on, Angel. I will be anticipating your arrival at breakfast." Jonathan's existence, though marked by opulence and achievement as a leading architect in the city, adhered to a meticulously planned routine. He would drop Joyce off at school before making his way to the office, where his days unfolded in a whirlwind of meetings, projects, and negotiations that frequently extended well into the night. Following his separation from Tiffany, his ex-wife, and the treachery of Albert, his erstwhile business associate, Jonathan had immersed himself deeper into his professional endeavors, frequently neglecting his time with Joyce. Launching his own architecture firm following the difficult conclusion of his last partnership was a daring yet draining endeavor. He faced the challenge of starting anew, yet he successfully reclaimed a handful of clients that his former partner had taken and forged fresh connections in neighboring cities. With long workdays that began early and stretched late into the night, he seldom found the opportunity to spend time with Joyce. At times, he found it necessary to take her to his office after school, as he frequently arrived home late and felt concerned about leaving her by herself. He was so absorbed in his tasks that he didn't notice the chaotic workday coming to a close until Haley arrived with his daughter after ballet practice. Joyce lounged in her chair, casually recounting snippets about school, touching on her grades, and then inquired, "Dad? I would prefer not to be in your office right now. It lacks excitement. Is it all right if I give Mom a call and head over to her place? Feel free to come by and get me later this evening. It's been some time since I last heard from her, and I find myself missing her presence." Jonathan let out a deep sigh and said, "Joyce, naturally you can call her. She is, indeed, your mother. However, I doubt she has the availability for you at this moment. She consistently has other significant matters at hand." Joyce's expression dimmed as she hesitantly entered her mom's number on her phone. "Hello, Mother. It's been some time since your last call, so I figured I'd reach out and give you a ring. Perhaps we could indulge in some ice cream. Perhaps I could swing by instead. Your absence is deeply felt." A moment of silence hung in the air before Tiffany's mother responded, her voice laced with uncertainty. "Darling, not today. There's an abundance of activity in my life at the moment. You're aware of my constant busyness. If I find a moment to spare this weekend, I'll give you a ring, sound good?" Joyce's expression turned somber. Her lips formed a tight line of discontent. Jonathan felt a deep compassion for his daughter. She longed for a moment with her mother, yet it appeared that her mother was hardly inclined to spend time with her. With a playful glint in his eye, Jonathan remarked, "You know what? I'm stepping away for a moment. How about we indulge in a delightful 3-scoop ice cream topped with rich chocolate syrup, luscious strawberry sauce, and a sprinkle of colorful toppings? What do you think of that?" Joyce's face lit up with a beaming smile, and she eagerly dove back into conversation about school. After indulging in a colossal family-sized ice cream, she flipped open her notebook and started tackling her homework. In the meantime, Jonathan exited for a crucial business meeting. Before long, he came back, a smile spreading across his face as he discovered Joyce peacefully resting on the office couch, wrapped snugly in a heap of blankets. Jonathan prepared a robust cup of coffee, nestled into his cherished leather chair, shut his eyes, and let his mind wander. He imagined providing Joyce with a life brimming with possibilities, a stark contrast to his own childhood marked by lack and sorrow. Jonathan's path, from his formative years to his acclaim as a distinguished architect, was characterized by the triumph over challenges. He was raised in a challenging household, where affection and encouragement were scarce. His parents frequently clashed, his father was often missing, lost in a haze of alcohol, while his mother, exhausted from her relentless toil and disappointment, was unable to provide any comfort or support. Jonathan, on the other hand, had a keen intellect and a remarkable flair for design and architecture. From a young age, he distinguished himself in school, particularly shining in subjects that required advanced reasoning and imaginative thinking. His instructors acknowledged his remarkable promise, frequently commending him for his commitment and talent. Beyond his studies, Jonathan nurtured a secret enthusiasm for capturing the essence of buildings and structures through his sketches. His imagination poured onto the page, sketching out groundbreaking designs and inventive architectural ideas. In the face of financial hurdles, he participated in design competitions, where his creations, even when made from simple, budget-friendly materials, stood out brilliantly. When Jonathan expressed his desire to follow a path in architecture, his mother brushed aside his aspirations, labeling them as mere fantasies and urging him to choose a more sensible direction. "Who do you believe you are, squandering time on those sketches? I can't envision a future in that. You lack the necessary qualities. It might be more advantageous to concentrate on pursuing a career in medicine or law. That's where you'll truly find success," she would say, questioning Jonathan's abilities. Despite his family's disapproval, Jonathan held firmly to his passion. Driven to transform his existence, he departed from his hometown in pursuit of knowledge and prospects that could bring his aspirations to fruition. The beginning was challenging, with just enough funds to scrape by, leading him to take on roles as a waiter, a salesperson, and even to pick up various odd jobs as a doorman. During his time at university, he immersed himself in the study of architecture, demonstrating unwavering commitment while relying on scholarships and part-time work to get by. In that moment, he encountered Tiffany, a promising interior design student destined for greatness. With an air of ambition and a striking beauty, Jonathan was captivated by her from the very first moment. A shared vision of a prosperous future united them. Following their graduation, Jonathan and Tiffany tied the knot and launched an architectural firm. The enterprise flourished, propelled by Jonathan's groundbreaking ideas and Tiffany's keen sense of style. However, as life often unfolds, the unyielding cycle of routine and obligations started to take a toll on their bond. Tiffany experienced a deep sense of neglect, particularly following the arrival of their daughter, Joyce. In a moment of vulnerability, Tiffany, yearning for the attention and affection she felt was missing, chose to walk away from the firm she and Jonathan had painstakingly built, seeking solace in the embrace of another. This new phase fell short of her expectations. Though she remained with Jonathan for the sake of their daughter, her heart yearned for something deeper, a spark to rekindle her passion. It was at that moment that Albert, her beloved, stepped into her world. They encountered each other when Jonathan presented him as the new partner at the architecture firm, following Tiffany's decision to depart from the company. Tiffany found herself captivated by Albert's enchanting smile and his keen acumen for business. One evening, while they were alone at the office, Albert suggested they go out for dinner, hinting at a deeper interest in her that extended beyond mere business. Initially, her response was one of resistance, yet as time went on, she began to relax. Before she realized it, she found herself in bed with Jonathan's new partner. A chance meeting transformed into a night that concluded with her arriving home at dawn, signifying her initial betrayal of Jonathan. From that point forward, Tiffany began to see Albert with greater regularity. She concocted a story for Jonathan, asserting that Joyce was too much for her, and that she required some time apart with her friends. With these justifications, she was rarely present at home during the evenings. Her involvement with Albert led her to overlook not just Jonathan, but also her daughter, Joyce. The intricate dynamics with Albert consumed her focus, allowing scant space for her true family. In the meantime, Jonathan started to feel that something was amiss. The evening stretched endlessly, steeped in envy and bitterness. In spite of his efforts to engage Tiffany in honest discussions to grasp the shifts in her demeanor, she refuted all claims and persisted in offering justifications. The softness, comfort, and love that once enveloped their family had disappeared. Even in the midst of pain and mistrust, Jonathan clung to the hope that this was merely a challenging phase and that they would emerge stronger, holding on to the love he still felt for Tiffany and yearning for her to return to the affectionate partner she had once been. He fought against the notion of separation, taking into account Joyce's welfare and her reliance on her mother. However, when Joyce reached the age of 5, everything came to a head. Overwhelmed by the weight of her dual existence, Tiffany resolved to make a bold choice, parting ways with Jonathan and Joyce, and leaving behind merely a short note. "I can no longer endure this way of life. My heart was captured by Albert long ago, and I no longer hold any feelings for you, Jonathan. I have decided to initiate divorce proceedings." Jonathan found himself utterly heartbroken. Tiffany's betrayal and abrupt exit created an enormous emptiness in his existence. How might Jonathan convey to Joyce that her mother had chosen to be with someone else? To add to the misery, it was a colleague he had collaborated with. The evenings were the most challenging. Jonathan grappled with the right words to soothe his daughter, all the while feeling utterly broken himself. The situation in court deteriorated further. Jonathan uncovered that Albert had devised a method to shift the majority of the company's assets into his own name, taking advantage of the gaps Jonathan had overlooked, stemming from the trust he had bestowed upon Albert to oversee the business. Fortunately, the house was bequeathed to Jonathan and Joyce, a modest solace in the midst of the tumult of losses. In the face of betrayal and abandonment, Jonathan stood resolute, determined not to let the circumstances shape his identity. Despite becoming the subject of mockery in his community and in familiar haunts, as if he had suffered an almost irreparable injustice, he remained determined to push ahead. With unwavering resolve to reconstruct his existence and provide Joyce with the finest life imaginable, he dedicated himself to his work, embodying both parental roles to ensure she was always surrounded by love and nurturing. In pursuit of a fresh start, Jonathan chose to rekindle a passion he had long neglected by launching his own sustainable architecture firm. With encouragement from longtime companions and the surrounding community, Jonathan started to perceive a flicker of optimism. He wasn't merely forging a new path, he was crafting a sanctuary for himself and Joyce, a place where love and hope could flourish anew. The innovative initiatives he introduced revitalized the city, transforming it from a place known for its excessive waste into a model of sustainability. That waste was now ingeniously integrated into Jonathan's designs, revolutionizing the city's entire supply chain and construction practices. The mayor acknowledged his valuable contributions to the community. As time passed, Jonathan regained all that he had lost to his previous partner, and his fortune expanded beyond its former limits. However, much like a scale that has tipped excessively, Jonathan started to neglect Joyce as he became engulfed in his work, striving to compensate for the pain and turmoil inflicted by his previous tumultuous relationship. One afternoon, as Jonathan poured his heart into offering Joyce the affection and attention he had yearned for during his own upbringing, he began to contemplate ways to transform this circumstance. The sudden knock at his office door interrupted his deep contemplation. As he stood up to respond, he cast a final glance at Joyce, who remained serenely slumbering on the couch. Not long after, Joyce stirred from her slumber, rubbing her drowsy eyes, and began to tackle her homework. However, it didn't take long for monotony to set in. She looked out the window, longing for a spark of adventure beyond the limited space of her father's office. Driven by an adventurous spirit, Joyce chose to sneak away while her dad was preoccupied. She meandered through the streets, absorbing the vibrant energy surrounding her, until a park across the way captured her attention. The playground, adorned with swings, slides, and monkey bars, appeared to be an ideal place for a brief respite. With determination in her stride, Joyce raced toward the park, excited to seize a few moments of joy before returning. Yet her brief moment of freedom was abruptly halted by the jarring sound of a car's screeching brakes, as a strong hand pulled her back onto the sidewalk, narrowly averting disaster. Filled with fear and tears brimming in her eyes, Joyce glanced up to encounter the worried expression of a stranger, a woman whose hair was a chaotic mess, reflecting her disarray. "You must be more cautious when crossing the street, dear," the woman said gently. "It was a near miss, but there's no need for tears. You are secure at this moment. May I ask what your name is?" Still shaking, Joyce sniffled and said, "I'm Joyce." "Where is your mother, Joyce? What brings you out here by yourself?" Joyce paused for a moment before speaking. "My dad's working in that building. I simply wish to engage in some lighthearted fun. He's going to be incredibly upset with me." Noticing the fear and innocence reflected in Joyce's eyes, the stranger offered a soft smile and extended her hand. "It's all right, Joyce. Let's return together, before your father even notices your absence." Upon Jonathan's return to the office, he observed that Joyce was absent. A wave of anxiety washed over him as he started to hold himself accountable for allowing her to slip away from his view. He raced through the building, darting from room to room, peering into offices and bathrooms, yet found no trace of her. Joyce consistently exercised caution when it came to seeking approval for her departures, often accompanied by Haley, his secretary. Still rattled, Jonathan reached out to Haley for assistance in locating Joyce. As they emerged into the open air, their eyes fell upon her, strolling alongside a woman in tattered clothing, a figure that bore the marks of hardship and perhaps homelessness. In a state of bewilderment, Jonathan hurried over, calling out, "Who are you? What is happening with my daughter? Back away from her immediately, or I will contact law enforcement." However, Joyce swiftly interjected her father's words. "Father, please refrain from raising your voice. This woman rescued me. A vehicle came dangerously close to colliding with me on the road. I failed to notice it. I'm grateful she was there to guide me back onto the sidewalk. Kindly refrain from harboring any anger towards her. I apologize as well. I assure you that I will never venture out alone again." Jonathan embraced his daughter with warmth and said, "Joyce, my dear, you frighten me deeply. Please refrain from doing that in the future. Are you aware of the perilous nature of that situation? You are the most cherished part of my existence. I won't allow anything to harm you, my dear." Then Jonathan glanced, feeling a touch of shame for his impolite reply. "Madam, I humbly ask for your forgiveness." I cried out, bewildered by the unfolding events. "I truly appreciate your help in saving my daughter." I briefly left the office, and upon my return, she had vanished. "I will always be thankful to you." He extracted some cash from his wallet and attempted to present it to her, but the woman resolutely refused, responding, "No, sir. Your financial support is unnecessary for me. Thanks a lot." However, I offered my assistance purely out of goodwill, without anticipating any rewards. "If you truly wish to assist me, I would appreciate an opportunity for employment. That would feel like genuine recompense. I am prepared to take on any type of task. I'm really looking for a new beginning, you understand. This way of living is no longer sustainable for me." She concluded, her voice laden with sorrow as she cast her gaze downward. Observing her difficulty, Jonathan halted, reflecting on her statements. He softly summoned Haley, his secretary, and proposed, "Why don't we bring her on board? As projects continue to grow, having an additional person to manage client interactions could prove beneficial. I'd love to hear your thoughts." Haley scowled and whispered, "You're in charge, so we'll follow your lead, but I'm not really on board with this plan. She might begin engaging in theft or substance use while at work. I have my doubts about her. Observe the state of her cleanliness." "You make a good point," Jonathan said, considering the idea. "However, I think we should still offer her a trial period of a month or two. She rescued my daughter. She is worthy of an opportunity." Turning back to the woman, Jonathan inquired, "Excuse me, young lady, may I ask your name? Could you please show me your identification? Are you prepared to begin your role as an assistant in our office?" "I'm Laura." "Indeed, I have my identification on hand. I truly appreciate this opportunity. It's precisely what I require. I'm prepared to start at your command. I will give my utmost effort, no matter what you request of me. Rest assured, that's a certainty. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Jonathan, the Chief Designer in the Office of Architecture and Sustainability. Your collaboration will be with my assistant, Haley. Return here at 8 tomorrow. She will clarify everything for you and oversee your tasks, understood?" Laura started her journey in Jonathan's architecture office as an assistant. Her commitment was unwavering, her demeanor courteous, and she consistently showcased a professional appearance. With her initial earnings, she treated herself to new clothes, refreshed her hairstyle, and secured a cozy room, feeling thankful for the opportunity to begin anew. She formed a deep bond with Joyce, Jonathan's daughter, who confided in Laura, sharing both her joys and her challenges. Laura treasured these moments with Joyce. 3 months later, Jonathan found himself quite impressed with Laura's performance, recognizing her dedication and eagerness to assist. Yet, in spite of Laura's impeccable track record, Haley, Jonathan's secretary, felt uneasy about Laura's presence, particularly regarding the growing closeness between them. Haley had long nurtured hidden emotions for her superior, and with his recent split from Tiffany, she perceived a chance to enter his world as his new companion. As Laura thrived, Haley began to view her as a potential rival. She crafted a scheme to ensnare Laura and drive her away. One day, when Haley requested Laura to fetch specific documents, she erupted, accusing Laura of prying into matters that were none of her concern. "Jonathan, we seem to be facing an issue." I stepped away from Laura for just a moment, and she began to sift through the confidential files. "What if she intends to market them? It might be wise to think about allowing her to move on. I've cautioned you about the dangers of bringing someone like her on board, and now, here we are," Haley suggested. Jonathan, surprised by the accusation, faced Laura, who simply refused to acknowledge it. "I have not taken anything that does not belong to me. If trust is lacking, I would prefer to depart rather than face unjust accusations." Laura expressed her concerns with conviction, stating, "I refuse to be held responsible for something I didn't commit or, even worse, face imprisonment." Jonathan had faith in Laura and vowed to investigate the issue in depth. He then concluded that Haley ought to take a break while they unraveled the situation. The secretary was livid, as her plan had unmistakably gone awry. On that very day, Jonathan's daughter was present in the office and observed Haley's actions firsthand. The young girl found her voice, disclosing the reality to her father. "Dad, Laura didn't do anything wrong. I observed Haley tampering with the documents. She aimed to set up Laura solely out of dislike for her. I witnessed it all." Joyce pressed on. "From my hidden spot beneath the table, I witnessed Haley beckoning Laura to come over and tamper with the documents, followed by her sudden outburst of anger directed at her." Jonathan expressed his gratitude to his daughter, saying, "Thank you, Joyce. Do you recall when this took place? You've taken on the role of my keen investigator. Your assistance was invaluable in resolving a challenging predicament. Your achievements fill me with pride." Feeling a sense of relief and gratitude for Joyce's timely intervention, Jonathan reviewed the security footage, which validated Laura's innocence. He subsequently faced Haley with the proof. "What prompted you to take this action?" Our collaboration has spanned quite a while. What was your reason? He inquired, a clear sense of disappointment etched on his face. After a lengthy silence, Haley finally scoffed, because she's a filthy, insignificant nobody. I believed it was time to impart some wisdom. Jonathan was enraged by her response, shocked by the boldness of someone he had once placed his trust in. Haley was promptly dismissed, and Jonathan looked to Laura, who expressed her gratitude once more for his faith in her. Jonathan, I truly appreciate your support in keeping me here. I truly believe I haven't done anything wrong. I'm beginning to return to a sense of normalcy, and while I might not appear to fit in just yet, I'm putting in the effort to find my place. In light of her gratitude, Jonathan felt a profound connection and boldly inquired, pardon my curiosity, but there's something that's been on my mind. What led you to find yourself living on the streets? You appear to be just like everyone else. No evidence of substances or intoxicants. What led to this occurrence? What led to all of this unfolding? Laura then confided in Jonathan, revealing the path that had brought her to the streets, and how saving Joyce had instilled in her a renewed sense of purpose, stating, it's hard to explain. My existence has consistently unfolded as a tapestry of highs and lows. I was raised in a home where my mother was absent, and my father struggled with alcoholism. Even with everything going on, I believed my childhood was quite ordinary, despite the constant scent of alcohol and cigarettes lingering in our home. My father would introduce various women into our lives, which distanced me from any desire to drink. Upon completing my education, I decided to pursue studies at a community college, secured several positions, and dedicated significant energy towards launching my own venture, achieving a commendable level of success. I encountered a man who appeared to be the ideal companion, yet after we tied the knot, he deceived me in the most devastating manner, absconding with all my finances. In an instant, he vanished, stripping away all that we possessed, leaving me with emptiness. I was compelled to relinquish my aspirations and close my business. Funds dwindled, and I found myself without a place to call home. Describing my feelings is challenging, yet rescuing your daughter ignited a flicker of hope within me. It empowered me to begin the journey of reconstructing my life. I am currently focused on regaining my stability and navigating my way back to a sense of normalcy. My aim is straightforward, to lead a fulfilling life, build a family, raise children, and contribute positively to the community in some capacity. Jonathan absorbed every word before responding. It's quite intriguing. There are numerous parallels in our narratives. I was raised in a rather chaotic family environment. Reflecting on my childhood brings me discomfort, and I prefer to avoid those memories. My spouse departed as well, eloping with my ex-business associate. He not only betrayed me with her, but he also seized a significant part of the fortune I had tirelessly built. Joyce continues to feel the absence of her mother, while it appears that Tiffany has completely overlooked the fact that she has a daughter. It has been more than 3 months since she last visited Joyce. Yet, as you can observe, I successfully navigated through all those obstacles, and I have no doubt you will as well. The key aspect is that you possess the desire to transform, and that is what truly counts. As time passed, Jonathan and Laura developed a deeper connection, collaborating, evolving, and thriving in their workplace. Yet, an unexpected challenge emerged in Jonathan's life. One morning, he encountered an unexpected surprise, an invitation from Tiffany, his former wife. However, this was no ordinary invitation. It was for her nuptials with Albert, his ex-business associate. The impact of that alone was sufficient to unsettle him, yet there was additional complexity to consider. Shortly after the email invitation arrived, a prominent Chinese investor reached out to Jonathan, letting him know he would be in town for the wedding and was eager to meet to explore potential business ventures. This could represent a significant turning point for Jonathan, yet it also required him to face a difficult chapter from his history. During the call, the investor caught Jonathan off guard by saying, "Hey Jonathan, hope you're doing well. I will be in your city for the wedding. Shall we seize the opportunity to reconnect?" It's wonderful to observe that, even after the divorce, you and your ex-wife maintain a cordial relationship. Keep in mind, my journey is solely for this wedding, and I'll be returning immediately after. Can I rely on you to show up? Jonathan found himself in a state of confusion. The idea of confronting Albert, who was self-satisfied in his marriage to his former wife, was utterly humiliating. Yet, he couldn't let the opportunity to engage with this prospective client slip away. The investor, a formidable figure in the construction industry, pledged a multi-million-dollar contract that would significantly elevate Jonathan's business and positively impact his local community. Without hesitation, Jonathan responded, "Absolutely, I'll certainly be at Tiffany and Albert's wedding. Looking forward to our meeting." Once the call concluded, Jonathan, still grappling with disbelief, revisited his email inbox. Indeed, the wedding invitation was there. He pondered, what could be Tiffany's reason for inviting me to this wedding? She doesn't even have a good relationship with Joyce. Was she intending to embarrass him in front of the crowd? Perhaps she was seeking to reconcile and restore her relationship with Joyce. Perhaps she had orchestrated this meeting with the Chinese investor to guarantee his presence. Tiffany was well acquainted with him. She understood he would never refuse a meeting with a significant investor. No matter what, he understood that this wedding was not to be missed. Naturally, Jonathan was reluctant to go. He could already envision Tiffany's content expression next to her ex-partner Albert, while he remained without anyone new. Arriving with a girlfriend by his side would have certainly made a more favorable impression. But where was he going to discover one in just a week? Thus, Jonathan resolved to seek assistance from Laura. She was likely the sole individual capable of extricating him from this predicament. As Laura entered Jonathan's office the following day, he welcomed her with a hint of awkwardness and remarked, "Laura, you once mentioned that I could rely on you if I ever needed assistance, correct? I truly require your assistance at this moment more than I ever have before." Without a moment's pause, Laura responded, "Absolutely. Simply let me know what needs to be done, and I will assist you in any way possible." Jonathan meticulously detailed the entire scenario involving a potential client, culminating in an unexpected request. "Could you please act as if you were my girlfriend for just one day? It would hold great significance for me, and it has the potential to create a truly positive influence on many lives. Only for a single day." Laura gazed at him, taken aback, and paused to contemplate her thoughts. "Listen, Jonathan, you know I'm here for you no matter what. However, the guests will likely notice that I don't quite belong in their circle, and that could potentially exacerbate the situation." Yet Jonathan offered her reassurance with unwavering confidence. "There's no need for concern regarding that. Our visit will be brief. I hope my ex-wife notices me with someone new, so she can reflect on what she lost when she chose Albert over me, and grasp how significant Joyce is in my life now. Additionally, attending this event is essential for securing this client, which could greatly benefit our firm and positively impact our community. There's little to express. Simply having you near me will suffice. I'll find you an amazing dress and craft a convincing narrative about our relationship." They meticulously orchestrated their presence at the wedding, with Jonathan wishing that his moments alongside Laura would prompt Tiffany to rethink her decisions, while also paving the way for a promising business venture with the potential investor in attendance. The momentous occasion had finally come. The wedding attracted a significant gathering at an elegant restaurant filled with prominent members of the community. Jonathan walked in, fingers intertwined with Laura's. Their unity was unmistakable. Laura donned a sophisticated dress that showcased her silhouette, complemented by heels that enhanced her stance. Her hair, meticulously styled, lent an elegant flair to her appearance. Jonathan, clad in a finely tailored suit, exuded an air of dignity and confidence. As they strolled through the room, eyes followed, and murmurs of approval filled the air, captivated by the sight of such an exquisite duo. Once he had welcomed the guests and exchanged pleasantries with the bride and groom, Jonathan made his way to Tiffany, a cryptic smile playing on his lips. Best wishes on your wedding day. Wishing you both a union filled with the joy you seek. This is a present from both of us, from me and my fiancée, Laura. Laura remarked, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Well done, Tiffany. Well done, Albert. We wish for you to discover the joy that Jonathan and I experience together. I remain in awe of my fortune in discovering someone as remarkable as him. Tiffany, startled by the unexpected news, observed the couple as they made their way back to their table, her emotions swirling with a blend of astonishment and envy. She gazed at Jonathan and Laura with a curious expression, pondering, who is she? Tiffany felt a surge of irritation as she reflected, I assumed Jonathan would be devastated after our breakup, yet it appears he moved on swiftly with someone new. Who is this woman, and what is her origin? I need to investigate further, this situation is unbelievable. I've never encountered her before. For Jonathan, the sense of accomplishment was unmistakable, they had successfully influenced Tiffany, just as intended. As the celebration commenced, all was proceeding seamlessly, and Jonathan found himself engaged in conversation with a prospective client keen on sustainable projects. However, the evening took an unexpected twist when Tiffany, clearly distressed and a bit inebriated, chose to create a disturbance. Seizing the microphone with a burst of spontaneity, she declared to the guests, I have something to share with all of you. I recently discovered something quite surprising about Jonathan's new romantic interest. She's not the person she claims to be, Laura is neither a successful businesswoman nor a figure of high society. Once homeless, she found refuge when Jonathan took her in, now, she serves as his assistant. Just a few moments ago, I received a call from Haley, who used to be Jonathan's secretary, and she shared all the details with me. I really don't want this individual at my wedding, I'm anxious about her potential actions. I kindly ask that they be removed from this place. The announcement sparked an instant stir among the attendees, who cast inquisitive and scrutinizing looks at Jonathan and Laura. With a palpable sense of unease, Laura leaned in closer to Jonathan and murmured, I knew this wouldn't end well. Laura stood up from the table, made her way to the stage, took the microphone from Tiffany, and spoke with clarity. As I prepare to take my leave, there's a thought I wish to share with all of you. No matter one's financial status, the essence of being a good person holds paramount importance, and it is unjust to speak about others without genuine understanding. Indeed, I may not fit the mold of a high society woman, but does that really matter? I have never taken a single penny from anyone. Tiffany, I'm pleased to hear you've chosen to part ways with Jonathan and Joyce, they truly deserve something more fitting. With a weighty heart and a troubled look, Laura made her way to the exit, striving to contain her feelings. Jonathan hurried after her, eager to leave that place behind as well. A truck barreled down the street, colliding with Laura as she strolled outside the restaurant. She crumpled to the pavement, a crimson pool beginning to spread beneath her head. Jonathan's voice pierced the air, calling for help, and a wave of panic swept through the street, infiltrating the restaurant as diners caught wind of his urgent pleas. The truck driver expressed regret, asserting that he bore no responsibility, since Laura had entered the roadway without checking for oncoming traffic. Emergency services were summoned, and Laura was swiftly transported to the hospital. Jonathan remained close to her, grasping her hand tightly as tears streamed down his face. I ask for your forgiveness, Laura. I take full responsibility for this. Kindly, Laura, share your thoughts. Awaken your senses. The paramedics attempted to soothe him, saying, Sir, please make an effort to relax. She lies in silence, unaware of your presence at this moment. This is a critical situation, and there could be internal bleeding involved. The future remains uncertain, yet it is wise to brace yourself for any eventuality. Jonathan wept quietly in the hospital corridor, consumed by guilt for the events that had unfolded. He came to understand the depth of his feelings for Laura and was filled with dread at the thought of losing her. Emergency surgery was conducted on Laura by the doctors, yet she fell into a coma. The outlook remained ambiguous, and the physicians were unable to guarantee how her body would react following the incident. Every day, Jonathan and Joyce made their way to the hospital, engaging in conversation and reading aloud to her, clinging to the hope that their voices might somehow bring her back to awareness. Several days following the wedding incident, Jonathan found himself facing an unanticipated guest at his office. It was Paul, a prospective client, who had been present at the wedding. "Jonathan, I wanted to have a conversation with you, but I'm uncertain if you'll take me seriously. The situation is, Laura, the woman you invited to the wedding bears an uncanny resemblance to my daughter who is no longer with us. It might sound a bit unbelievable, so allow me to begin at the start. My spouse and I tied the knot at an early age. Our joy in each other's company was boundless. My affection for her ran deep, yet we encountered the challenge of being unable to have children. And faced health challenges that rendered her unable to conceive during that period. It appeared that our sole choice was to adopt from an orphanage, despite our long-held dream of having a biological child. Surrogacy was not on our radar until I encountered a professor of obstetrics and gynecology who was willing to help us. We sought a woman interested in carrying our baby, so we placed an advertisement seeking a healthy and respectable young woman for a lucrative opportunity. From the pool of candidates, we selected Cora, a vibrant young woman hailing from a quaint town. We shared our circumstances, and she readily offered her assistance, particularly as she required the funds to support her ailing child. All unfolded according to the blueprint. Cora found herself expecting and chose to remain with us, though she frequently made trips to see her son. As we geared up for the journey into parenthood, my wife donned a faux belly, steering clear of hospitals, with only the professor privy to our little secret. While my wife and I were away on a trip, Cora unexpectedly went into premature labor. When we got back, Cora had already left. The doctor presented the baby to us, mentioning that he had provided Cora with the payment we had discussed. We compensated the doctor to maintain discretion and felt a sense of relief at the absence of any issues. Cora's abrupt exit went unchallenged as we handled all the baby's legal paperwork, shelling out a significant amount to sidestep any additional inquiries. Thus, we embarked on the journey of nurturing our daughter, Nora, as if she were our own flesh and blood. It was a shared conviction that she belonged to us, and our joy knew no bounds. Nora resembled us closely. Upon her graduation, I envisioned her thriving as a business leader, perhaps even leading the construction firms. She was vibrant, engaging in volleyball during her college years. However, she soon started to suffer from fevers and nausea, which were then accompanied by seizures. During a picnic, a tick bite led to encephalitis, and tragically, our daughter soon passed away. The impact was profound for both my wife and me. It was at a wedding that I first laid eyes on her. A person who resembled our beloved daughter who has passed away. Can you envision the emotions I experienced? I believed I was seeing things that weren't there. At home, I shared everything with my wife, and she seemed perplexed. Yet, how could such a likeness come to be? We chose to engage a detective, as I found it impossible to find peace without clarity. The man halted, clearly unsettled, his hands quivering and his voice faltering in his throat. He took a sip of water, attempting to regain his composure. Jonathan, a mix of curiosity and confusion, inquired, "So, what did the private investigator uncover? Is Nora truly connected to you? That doesn't seem accurate." She shared with me that her upbringing was in a family that struggled to function harmoniously. Her father was perpetually inebriated, and she preferred to keep her history to herself. She even noted that she wasn't from this area. Paul pressed on with his narrative. "It may seem incredible, but Nora is truly my biological daughter. Nora welcomed a pair of twins into her life. She provided us with one of them according to the agreement, but she returned the other baby to her hometown due to her oldest son being quite ill. A year later, despite all the doctor's efforts and the financial resources invested, her son succumbed to his illness. The tragedy plunged Nora into a deep depression, while her husband succumbed to alcoholism, resulting in a challenging existence for her. If I had been aware of another daughter enduring such pain, would have moved mountains to bring her to safety and nurture her with all the love and attention she deserves. Having finally located her, she lies in a coma, battling for her survival. Your support for her means the world, Jonathan. I truly appreciate it. Ignore the opinions of others. I will handle that. I am prepared to go above and beyond to assist you. Jonathan, taken aback, was grappling with the enormity of it all. I'm pleased to hear that Nora is your daughter, but I can't help but feel responsible for inviting her to this wedding with me. Now her fate hangs in the balance because of my actions. I wish to assist her, yet I'm uncertain of the way forward. The physicians indicate that her prospects are minimal. Paul replied, all we can do now is wait, and Jonathan pressed him further. What are we waiting for? Paul responded with assurance, saying not to worry. We will go to any lengths to protect my daughter. I will seek out the finest medical professionals. She will be fine, I assure you. I will exert every effort because I have discovered a newfound purpose in life. If she were aware that her father was here waiting, I believe it would encourage her to wake up more quickly. These words resonated profoundly with Jonathan. Following his conversation with Paul, Jonathan made his way to the hospital and stepped into her room. Laura lay in the bed, her eyes shut, surrounded by the rhythmic blinking of monitors. He grasped her hand firmly, holding it with a sense of urgency. Her fingers lay still, chilled to the touch. He started to murmur gently. Laura, I implore you to listen to my words. It's time to rise and shine, Laura. Your father, Paul, spotted you at that wedding and instantly realized you were his daughter. Are you able to hear me? He stands by your side, offering prayers for your healing. He wishes with every ounce of his being that you find healing soon. He holds a profound affection for you, and I remain here, patiently awaiting. But not merely as your superior, or even just a companion, but as someone who holds you as the most treasured individual in their existence. It was in this challenging moment that I truly understood your significance in my life. What a blessing it is to have you in our lives. Kindly, Laura, please open your eyes. This is our deepest desire. You're not isolated in this struggle, do you understand? It appeared unthinkable, yet one of Laura's fingers twitched. In the blink of an eye, she started to flutter her eyelids. The devices surrounding her erupted in a cacophony of beeps, prompting Jonathan to urgently summon the doctors. The doctor, taken aback, remarked that it was indeed a remarkable miracle that Laura had regained consciousness. He articulated that the chances of her regaining consciousness after such an extended period were virtually non-existent. Yet, at this moment, she found herself alert and benefiting from the finest medical attention the city could provide. Thanks to the encouragement of those around her, Laura steadily made progress. Initially, she found it difficult to identify numerous individuals. She needed to rediscover the art of communication, the skill of nourishing herself, and ultimately, the ability to walk again. Jonathan and Paul remained by her side, providing the encouragement she needed, consistently reassuring her that a full recovery was within reach. Even little Joyce participated, creating a variety of charming drawings for Laura, envisioning the moment they would converse and stroll side by side once more. As the moment approached for Laura to return home, she sensed a readiness within her to embrace her feelings for Jonathan. In that state of unconsciousness, I experienced a sensation of drifting between two realms, devoid of pain, scarcely aware of my physical form, uncertain whether I was truly awake or ensnared in a profound slumber. Yet, your sentiments regarding my father, your affection for me, they drew me back in. They helped me understand that I had a purpose to come back, with the knowledge that you were there, anticipating my arrival. But I must ask, were your words intended solely to empower me? Or did you genuinely intend those words? I have always cherished you, yet I believed I was too insignificant in your vast universe, just a humble architect next to someone destined for greatness. I never thought we could transcend what we already were. But I urge you to be truthful with me now and refrain from offering any false hope. Inspired by Laura's candidness, Jonathan realized it was his moment to embrace honesty. Following a conversation with his daughter Joyce, who stood by him wholeheartedly, he responded to her with assurance. "Laura, I truly share those feelings for you. And I assure you, I will not allow you to fade away from my existence. Joyce and I truly require your support at this moment. Embrace the roles of mother and wife within our family." From the medical facility. "Shall we head home together without delay? I'd love to hear your thoughts." Laura was engulfed by a whirlwind of feelings. She could scarcely contain her elation. Softly, she embraced Jonathan, planting a timid kiss on his lips. She gazed into his eyes, and they exchanged a fervent kiss, infusing it with all their love and emotion. In that instant, they understood that their lives were intertwined, as if destiny had orchestrated their union in this precise manner. However, Laura was facing a significant meeting in the near future, one that involved her father. She struggled to understand how unfamiliar faces had influenced her entire upbringing, while her biological parents raised her sister, oblivious to the existence of another daughter. Paul gathered them, and together they ventured to his grand mansion nestled in the heart of the city. What Laura witnessed left her in awe. Amidst the landscape, gardens flourished, trees stood tall, fountains danced, vases adorned the paths, and an array of statues of Jesus alongside exquisite marble sculptures were artfully placed throughout. She had never encountered anything quite like it. A gentle woman, her eyes filled with kindness and her smile radiating warmth, stepped forward to greet her, enveloping her in a heartfelt embrace. "Laura, my dear daughter, it's hard to fathom. You bear a striking resemblance to your sister. That tiny freckle beneath your chin remains unchanged. My dear girl, please forgive us for not being present for you. We were completely unaware of your existence. Though we were misled, I am truly grateful that we ultimately discovered one another." Laura experienced a rush of nostalgia, wishing the embrace would last forever. No one had ever embraced her or addressed her with such tenderness during her childhood. Yet, as she embraced her true mother, a profound sense of tranquility and warmth enveloped her being. She pressed her lips to her mother's hand and softly murmured, "I'm so grateful you discovered me and never lost hope in me. Before I crossed paths with Jonathan, my existence was filled with despair. There were moments when I questioned my path, feeling as though I was out of place. I may not grasp everything just yet, but my desire is to make you proud as your daughter." Paul, clearly affected, spoke with a calm and measured tone. "Laura, my dear, everything here is now in your hands. We will never let you go again. It would be a privilege to have you join us and contribute to one of our companies. A promising journey lies before you. I will guide you through every detail, and before long, you'll be at the helm of all our enterprises. However, I observed that you didn't carry any bags with you. Are you truly considering making this your home, my dear?" Laura responded, "Dad, Jonathan and I share a deep love, and I've made the decision to live with him and Joyce. You both have grown to be invaluable treasures in my life. Rest assured, I'll be stopping by frequently so we can truly deepen our connection. I trust that you comprehend my perspective." Paul embraced his daughter with warmth and said, "Look, honey, I'm truly delighted with your choice, because family is the most precious thing we possess in life. I hope you find all the joy life has to offer, as I am familiar with Jonathan and the incredible strength he possesses after everything he has faced. I am also acquainted with Tiffany, his former spouse, a harsh and cunning individual who genuinely mistreated Jonathan. Despite the challenges, he found a way to transcend it all, and now he stands at the helm of ambitious, forward-thinking enterprises. He truly deserves a moment of respite. Jonathan is in need of companionship, and I truly think you would be the ideal choice to become his new partner. Our door is always open to you both. We are eager to connect with our granddaughter, share moments with her, and enjoy playful activities together." From the moment Laura stepped into Jonathan and Joyce's home, a sense of purpose enveloped her. The little girl felt an unparalleled joy, having at last found a genuine mother figure in her life. She held on to Laura, trailing her closely, rarely wishing to part from her presence. In contrast to Tiffany, Laura exhibited patience and kindness, making her an excellent partner for Jonathan. She continually recalled her father Paul's guidance, to provide Jonathan with the support he truly deserved and to be the ideal partner he required, always standing by him. And that is precisely what she accomplished. She stood by his side, providing solace, affection, and an attentive ear, always prepared with a clever answer to his dilemmas. Jonathan was in disbelief. Tiffany had never behaved in such a manner. She had consistently expected from him not just affection but also financial support and various material possessions. Reflecting on the past, Jonathan understood that he had played the role of a servant to his ex-wife's ceaseless demands, and each thoughtful gesture from Laura deepened his gratitude for the journey he had chosen. He finally experienced a sense of tranquility and release now that Tiffany was no longer part of his life, understanding that he would still be enduring pain if she had remained, particularly after her betrayals involving his former business partner. In the aftermath of their tumultuous marriage, Tiffany found herself embroiled in a fierce confrontation with her new husband, Albert, who had previously been Jonathan's business partner. Albert, fueled by a surge of anger and frustration, shouted, "Are you satisfied now, Tiffany? See the impact your actions have had on our relationship. You simply had to humiliate Jonathan in front of the crowd, and now look at the chaos you've created. What was the reason for inviting him without informing me? Well, congratulations, you succeeded in making him the focal point while we faded into the background." Moreover, the woman accompanying Jonathan found herself fighting for her life in the hospital due to the scene you orchestrated to eject them from the gathering. What an interesting beginning to your marriage, wouldn't you say? At this moment, I genuinely understand your essence. Tiffany stood in stunned silence, a void forming within her as the magnitude of her plans unraveling hit her with full force. Her frustration intensified, leading her to consume far more than her usual amount, and she developed a tendency to strike out at Laura in small, spiteful ways, aiming to wound Jonathan indirectly through her. In a twist of fate, it was Tiffany who found herself enduring humiliation time and again due to her own choices. To complicate things further for Tiffany, it was revealed that Laura, whom everyone assumed was merely a wandering stranger, was in fact the daughter of a powerful construction tycoon. She collaborated with Jonathan and Paul on their endeavors, playing a key role in groundbreaking projects that swiftly garnered recognition and success, reinforcing their standing in the field. In the meantime, the bond between Tiffany and Albert became more and more tense. The union, once envisioned as a flawless fairy tale, was unraveling rapidly. Albert had lost the charm and allure that once captivated her. Tiffany started to question her choices, pondering, if he could treat his business partner and friend that way, what might he do to me? Meanwhile, Albert grappled with his own feelings of remorse and anger. He pondered, if she could so readily betray her ex-husband and abandon her own child, what kind of future awaited me with her? They found themselves ensnared in a relentless loop of doubt and remorse, each pondering if they had erred gravely in their decision to unite. As their facades crumbled, Albert, at last perceiving Tiffany's genuine character, resolved to part ways with her and pursue a fresh start far from the city, which had become a mere emblem of his sorrowful past. With his innate charisma and sharp intellect, Albert swiftly reconstructed his life and discovered a new companion who valued him. He departed without a second look. Yet, Tiffany found herself utterly isolated and impoverished, as the efforts and support of Albert and Jonathan had sustained her entire previous existence. She felt an overwhelming sense of desperation and regret upon realizing that Jonathan had always been her one true love. Haunted by her previous errors and yearning for atonement, Tiffany embarked on an unrelenting journey to reclaim Jonathan, believing he possessed the means to revive her shattered existence. She lingered by his office, dialing his number over and over, determined to reignite their bond. Yet Jonathan, growing more frustrated by the moment, dismissed each of her efforts. Eventually, he faced her head-on, saying, Tiffany, please, cease the calls, stop lingering outside my office, stop looking for me. I've reached my limit with this situation. You shattered all that we built together, and now you seek to return, driven by your remorse. While I appreciate your acknowledgement of your errors, the possibility of reconciliation is entirely off the table. This is something you should have considered earlier. Joyce and I are crafting a fresh chapter together with someone who genuinely appreciates what they possess. We kindly ask that you respect our space and cease your search for us. Even after Jonathan's resolute dismissal, Tiffany found it hard to believe that their connection had genuinely come to an end. Deep down, she held on to the hope that a second chance remained within reach. She envisioned a lingering love, where forgiveness and a new beginning seemed attainable. In her thoughts, Jonathan's emotions for her remained ever present. Yet, upon realizing that their love could not be revived, Tiffany redirected her attention. She started insisting on spending more time with her daughter, despite the fact that Jonathan had never denied her that opportunity. Initially, Joyce was thrilled by her mother's unexpected enthusiasm, eagerly anticipating weekends spent together, envisioning shared experiences that seemed to forge a genuine bond. On a bright Saturday at the park, Joyce excitedly shared with her mom all about the joy she had discovered with Laura. Her face brightened as she shared the delightful experiences Laura had introduced her to, from drawing to crafting rag dolls, and how Laura was always there to hear her thoughts and concerns, radiating warmth and attentiveness. Tiffany, hearing her daughter extol Laura's virtues repeatedly, felt her emotions simmering beneath the surface, a mix of jealousy and frustration welling up inside her. With an unexpected flair, Tiffany interjected, her tone piercing and incisive. "That's enough, Joyce. Why is it that you only discuss Laura? She's merely a leech, an insignificant drifter who doesn't belong in our world. Have you stopped loving me as your mother?" Joyce was taken aback, her mother's fury catching her off guard. Fear seeped into her voice as she pleaded to return home, her delicate features mirroring a blend of shock and sorrow. Yet Tiffany, engulfed in her own anguish and envy, sought to influence her with a frantic scheme. "Joyce, pay attention. If we remove Laura from the equation, I can return home. Joy will return to us once more. An authentic family. She isn't necessary for you. I am yours." Joyce's response was filled with uncertainty and concern. She gazed at her mother, suspicion flickering in her eyes, her voice quivering as she begged to be taken back to the warmth and safety of her father and Laura. "Mother, I would prefer not to have that. I feel content with Dad and Laura. Dad has a brighter demeanor these days, he seems happier and is consistently present. I cherish you, for you are my mother. However, I wish to return home at this moment. It seems as though you don't desire my presence. Your words are often harsh, lacking kindness, and filled with anger." The weight of her daughter's words struck Tiffany deeply, compelling her to recognize the error of involving Joyce in her own challenges. Joyce, merely a child, was entitled to affection, comfort, and safety, rather than the burdens of adult issues. Tiffany attempted to ease her tone and steer the discussion in a different direction, yet the pain and strain remained palpable. Shortly after, honoring Joyce's wishes, they reached out to her father, and though hesitant, Tiffany returned her daughter home. Laura, enveloped in the delightful scent of baking, greeted Joyce with a warm embrace as she stepped through the door. The ambience radiated warmth and collaboration. Laura beamed at her, exclaiming, "Hey Joyce, it's wonderful to see you. I could definitely use some assistance here. How about lending a hand in creating an orange cake? This is what your dad loves the most. Let's combine the ingredients for the batter, and if you lend a hand, you might just get to enjoy licking the bowl when we're done. I'm relying on you. We work together as one." Joyce's eyes sparkled at the thought, and with a determined nod, she joined Laura, plunging enthusiastically into the endeavor. In unison, they turned the kitchen into a haven of joy, discovery, and comfort. The blend of components, the splatters, and the exchanged grins infused the space with delight. Time drifted by imperceptibly, and before they knew it, darkness had enveloped the surroundings. Meanwhile, Jonathan stood nearby, observing the scene unfold, profoundly touched by the harmony and care Laura infused into their family. He found himself drawing a stark comparison between Laura's warmth and Tiffany's cold, strained connection with their daughter. How is it that Laura can offer so much love and understanding to us, he pondered, while Tiffany finds it difficult to connect in any meaningful way with her own child? A deep appreciation surged within him, grateful for Laura's role in their lives and the authentic family connections she fostered. Meanwhile, Tiffany was at home, wrestling with her own inner conflict, unable to attain tranquility following a fraught exchange with Joyce. She descended further into her challenges, relying on alcohol and medication as a means of escape, all the while pointing fingers at Laura for her discontent and solitude. Tiffany had persuaded herself that Laura was the cause of her split from Jonathan and the widening gap between her and her daughter. This notion deepened her bitterness, driving her deeper into harmful daydreams, where Laura was absent from the scene. She was blind to the fact that her own decisions and behaviors were playing a role in her unhappiness. In a fleeting moment of despair, fueled by excessive drinking, Tiffany made the impulsive choice to drive to Jonathan's house. Her thoughts shrouded in a shadowy purpose. Yet, just as she was about to execute her plan, destiny had other ideas. She lost control of her vehicle and collided forcefully with a tree, the resounding crash reverberating through the still neighborhood. The sudden noise startled Jonathan, Laura, and Joyce, prompting them to dash outside and confront the tumultuous scene before them. Tiffany, battered and bruised, stumbled from her vehicle, her face a mask of desperation as she cried out for Jonathan, her voice trembling with emotion. "Jonathan, it's essential that you return to me. I am the perfect choice for you. Let's move on from this manipulator and begin anew, just the three of us, you, me, and our beloved Joyce." Joyce, observing her mother's anguish and understanding the depth of her turmoil, felt tears begin to gather in her eyes. Softly, she responded, her words almost inaudible. "Mother, I must disagree with you. Your words are a bit jumbled, perhaps due to a little too much to drink. I wish to stay. I wish for you to leave. Laura has treated us well. Please don't speak of her in that manner," Joyce implored, her voice laced with disappointment. Listening to her daughter stand up for Laura only intensified Tiffany's irritation. Fury consumed her as she tried to march toward them, her wrath particularly directed at Laura. Yet, overwhelmed by her powerful feelings, she lost her footing, tripped, and crashed down onto the earth. Before long, the wailing of sirens pierced the atmosphere as an ambulance rushed in to transport Tiffany to the hospital. The gravity of her actions and the unfortunate sequence of events that ensued, the revelation of her serious condition left everyone profoundly affected. Jonathan, despite his heartbreak, experienced a tangled mix of relief. This moment signified a pivotal change within him, deepening his commitment to his responsibilities as a father and partner. Laura, ever reliable, remained by Jonathan's side, assisting him in providing steadfast support to Joyce. With great care, they conveyed the situation to her, infusing their words with empathy and insight. At Tiffany's funeral, Joyce cried freely, her heart burdened with sorrow. Amidst her tears, she began to understand that her mother's decisions had ultimately brought about this sorrowful conclusion. As the months unfolded, the connection among Laura, Jonathan, and Joyce deepened. In the cozy embrace of their living room, they discovered the beauty of simple pleasures, such as movie nights filled with laughter, where the warmth of the moment chased away the lingering shadows of what once was. With the comforting presence of her father and Laura, Joyce gradually found solace in the aftermath of her loss. She began to welcome life with a fresh sense of joy and optimism due to the support she was receiving. They had transformed into a genuine family, one grounded in steadfast love, shared respect, and profound compassion. Within these walls, there existed no space for resentment or bitterness, only warmth, loyalty, and the delight found in one another's presence. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a thumbs up. Many more narratives exist that could resonate with you deeply. Delight in the viewing experience.